Next up on the calendar for F123 is Zandvoort, and this is a really tricky track to master in the dry and especially in the wet. The unusual braking zones and the really kind of unorthodox corners really test your car in a way which other tracks simply don't. Much like Hungary, you need a really high aerodynamic setup because downforce it really is king around Zandvoort despite the relatively long and fast straight. I've gone with 47 and 41 for this car setup, which is a bit of an increase over our dry setup, but it still has a focus primarily on the front of the car to help eliminate understeer, which is ever so vital around Zandvoort. For the transmission, I've gone 50 and 50 to really just help nail the traction, and then I've gone with pretty much the highest suspension geometry of any wet car setup so far. I've got minus 2.5 on the camber at the front and minus 1 at the rear. And then for the toe, I've gone really high at 0.07 and 0.27. This approach is mainly focused on just making sure your car is as stable as possible. For the suspension, I've gone 28 and 5, and then I've gone 7 and 1 on the anti-roll bars and 39 and 43 on the ride height. Again, stability is at the core of this car setup. For the brakes, go 95% pressure and 55% brake bias. And then, just like most of our wet car setups, I've increased the front tyre pressures a little bit to 23, and I've lowered the rears to 20, again to really focus on traction. And that rounds out our Zandvoort car setup for the rain in F123. Please let me know in the comments below if you enjoy this track, whether you like this car setup, and any changes you would make to the setup itself. Also consider subscribing, as I've got a lot of F123 content planned, from more setups to track guides and other how-to videos, that sort of thing. So subscribing will allow you to be notified as soon as a new video drops. But for now guys, enjoy this track and this setup combination, and I'll see you out on track.